folks, happy Saturday morning, whether you're at the Home Depot or having brunch with Aunt Susan. Welcome to Trainwreck Sports. Welcome to the show where it's not wrestling with your budget. It's not wrestling with your conscience. It's wrestling with emotion. And we have got a big show on tap for one of the big four of the WWE pay-per-views. It's Survivor Series WarGames. WarGames. So let's get our panel in here. You know him. You love him. It's his day on the calendar. Slick Saturday. You know him. You might not love him, but you got to respect him as the head of the table. Zach McAdoo. You got newcomer to the panel, but he was making an impact with some points and some talking points last show. It's Sweatpants Joe. And last but not least, you know him. You respect him. You admire him. You want to be him when you grow up. Voice of reason, Ernie Green. Gentlemen, Survivor Series Saturday. We know Triple H is in charge. We got matches on the card, just like we've been saying for the last year and a half. Is it not a great time to be a wrestling fan?
I think Ernie said it more than any of us lately, but he's so right. I mean, wrestling is on fire right now. AEW might be getting low attendance numbers, and maybe the ratings are doing a little bit less than, PKW 2021, but WWE's picked right back up to where it once was, and it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I mean, AEW definitely stoked the fire with this wrestling war, but like always, WWE will take over in every war they battle.
I know I'm in the minority opinion here, but I don't think it's ever a bad time to be a wrestling fan. It's always a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Wow. I'm fired up now.
I'll tell you what, like I don't think there's ever been a war here because I mean they're just on different planes. AEW in 2021 was just miles ahead of WWE in terms of creative, and they've kind of there's a lot of difference. There's reasons why they're not as creative as they were. They had a lot of injuries, a lot of guys left, a lot of tomfoolery, a lot of twists and turns. But I mean, WWE under the guise of Hunter Hearst Helmsley, they've just completely picked up. And I'll expound on this later, but like everything that's happening in that world like makes sense and is logical. And I'll talk about that during the Survivor Series match more. But it's just like they're not insult. Vince McMahon used to love to insult our intelligence. Like the whole thing, like the golden egg. Like, what the hell was that? The ring exploding when Finn Bálor wrestled Roman Reigns. They never talked about it again. That does not happen anymore in WWE. Everything makes sense. Everything's logical. Everything's tied together. That's, it's amazing time. It's an amazing time to be a wrestling fan right now.
Yeah, and you see superstars who are, again, in WWE, like basically comedic acts or supporting acts. Like, for example, one that comes to mind is Chad Gable getting the limelight recently and kind of becoming, a top star on the show, regardless of having a belt or not. So you love to see it. Again, love the time we're having in wrestling right now. Thank you for tuning in here with Wrestling Emotion. That was our show. Have a good night. No, I'm just joking. Let's get into it. Favorite or worst thing in the world of wrestling right now? Does anyone want to jump in with theirs first here?
I can go first.
Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly is my favorite thing. I think they're entertaining. Every time they're on the screen, I enjoy watching them.
I'll tell you what, like we didn't do an AEW show last week. So my favorite thing in pro wrestling just in general is when something happens that wasn't supposed to happen, like a Daniel Bryan push, Kofi Mania, et cetera, et cetera. And right now in both promotions, we have two great pushes and runs that we never expected to happen. LA Knight in WWE, who's just on fire, even though he lost in Saudi Arabia, still hot as ever. And then in AEW, Swerve Strickland and especially Prince Nana. Like if this is a public service announcement for everyone listening. If you're a parent and you're not teaching your kids to dance like Prince Nana, you have failed. Okay, every kid should be going to school on Monday doing this, getting a little dance going. So I think both of those in each promotion, because they weren't supposed to happen, and they're just both hot as ever. And I think that's the best part about pro wrestling. And both promotions have a very, very cool like non-sponsored push that's going on.
It's a lot better than kids going to school and doing we got 2 words for you.
Well, that's debatable, but
and then meanwhile, you got them bringing that back on another promotion.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's great. Swerve is awesome in AEW right now. That death match was phenomenal. One of the best matches I think I've ever seen ever. And I think storyline wise, I'm probably gonna go best thing in wrestling is the devil. You know, a lot of questions up in the air. We know MJF's wrestling Joe at World's End now. How is that going to play a factor? That just happens to be 2 days before 2024, where there's this impending bidding war, but we'll see if that's the case or not. And then on the WWE side, I love the Judgment Day, and that's it's not going to change, especially with the addition of Drew. Love that, and I'm excited for that WarGames match tonight.
So mine, I think mine's stupid, but I love the pair of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I think they are a tremendous team. They provide a lot of entertainment for us, and that segment last night was pretty funny.
Joe?
Oh,
he started.
He did pretty deadly. Anything that's
you did. My bad.
Anything that
short and sweet.
Anything that anyone's finding particularly upsetting right now. I mean, I feel like all over the board. I guess the one thing I'll bring up from our chat, you know, if we're gonna, you know, make us think about some, you know, we had some, what I wouldn't call it friction or whatnot about the use of Jay White in the Full Gear Championship match. Ultimately, I think that was okay. I think he got a month plus running around with the belt, basically doing all kinds of crazy promos, getting more time on AEW than he had ever gotten before. To me, during that time, and again, I might be an idiot, and I'll take that on the chin here, but he got over to me, like as a star in AEW. Like it was when he debuted, I'll never forget it because they did it like 5 minutes into an AEW Dynamite. It was pretty cool. It was definitely different. But he's finally over to me as like the leader of the group with the ability of what I saw. And yeah, again, he lost to MJF. It is a little like discerning to his credibility. But as we've seen with Judgment Day, you know, just because Finn Bálor gets exploded off the top rope doesn't mean that, you know, you can't have credibility down the line as leader of a top faction in the company. That's my stance on it. Anyone that want to weigh in there?
I just think having him lose to a guy with a torn knee or a broken leg after a 31-minute match just makes no sense. That's the issue. You know, I'm glad that they finally did something with him, because this isn't like, you know, this isn't a guy who just some nobody. You know what I'm saying? That he was a former IWGP champion before he came to AEW, and like they did nothing with him, and they really, you know what the kids say, what you guys say is like they fumbled the bag with him for a while, and pushing him the last month, yes, has been great because he's that good of a wrestler and he's that good of a heel. But to make him, if he would have lost to MJF in any other form than the way he did, like if MJF like blatantly cheated early in the match or something like that, or if Bullet Club Gold came down and tried to cheat and then you know hijinks happened and they accidentally hit him or something, that would have been fine. But lose a marathon match to a guy with one leg, that's just, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it also wasn't ideal either.
I think that's fair.
I think you know, like you knew Jay White was, well, at least I was pretty sure Jay White was losing after they gave him like a month to trot around with that belt and make him the star he was and give that championship look. But I think I said this to you, Maniac. If they did it how it played out, I think MJF should have used a little more of his old heel tactics, even though he's so face and over right now. If you're injured, you got to like play dirty to get that W. And ultimately it was just a match that he powered through. But if in my opinion, personally, I think they could have done without the match is canceled, Adam Cole is wrestling Jay White. I think they should have just gone through with the main event. And like maybe done some devil antics at the end. We didn't even see the devil once on Full Gear pay-per-view. So
well, I heard the devil doesn't like LA traffic. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, well no one does, so it makes sense.
Yeah. That is actually good kayfabe. I appreciate the devil keeping kayfabe there, because let's face it, California traffic is brutal. You don't need to bring
and he was coming from Death Valley too, so you know that's
serious. Yeah, that's a commute and a half. Don't need anyone talking about LA traffic. That's brutal as it is. Okay. So with that said, let's get into it, gents, here on Wrestling with Emotion, brought to you by Outlet Liquor, your place to buy a case this and every holiday season in the run up to obviously the holiday season. With that said, let's talk about great memories, holiday memories, no Survivor Series memories. We always do this when it's a bigger pay-per-view for the most part, and like Money in the Bank, for example. Favorite Survivor Series memory for me, I don't know. It's kind of tough because I'm going back to like the early 2000s and I'm thinking back like that wasn't, if I remember, my peak of wrestling watching then in the early 2000s, I don't recall it being, full Survivor Series matches. I think they were doing like more championship matches, if I recall then. So the one I'll recall now, which is kind of infamous at this point, is when Dolph Ziggler got subbed into Roman Reigns' spot. And they basically just gave him every angle at that 2014 Survivor Series. I think it was 2014. And eventually Sting made his WWE debut, and probably Sting's greatest moment in WWE. He was able to go fully over and get the pop, obviously. It was kind of all downhill from there, except for the one statue reveal that they did. And when Randy Orton looked at him with the chair and just kind of nodded. Those were great moments as well. But peak of Sting there in WWE, unfortunately, but great Survivor Series memory nonetheless. What do you guys gents got in that regard?
You actually stole my answer. Was the Sting debut, but I'd be remiss right now if I didn't mention CM Punk winning the WWE Championship in 2011 over who but Alberto Del Rio. That is a Survivor Series memory if I've ever heard of one. And I was looking at I looked up this list of Survivor Series memories to get the ball rolling. And I got to ask you, Ernie and Joe, about this because you might know. 94, this headline just says Chuck Norris and the casket match.
Right.
What the hell is going on there? I really want to know if
Joe,
you guys
can
can elaborate.
So that was Yokozuna and Undertaker in the casket match. So what happened previously that year at the Royal Rumble, they had a casket match. And Undertaker and Yokozuna wrestled. All of the heels in the locker room came down to the ring and beat the shit out of the Undertaker during that casket match. And that's how Yokozuna was able to win the casket match. They brought in Chuck Norris to make sure the heels didn't interfere in the match. And if you watch the match, you see members of bad guys coming to the ring, and Chuck Norris holds them at bay. So that was the story behind that.
Jesus.
And he even gives I believe Jeff Jarrett a roundhouse kick.
Yeah, it was Jeff Jarrett. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
that's my internet, Dad.
It's incredible. I'll just leave it before I pass it on with also the John Cena and The Rock teaming up against The Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah, that was kind of psycho, but it was like that was basically the halftime of their once in a lifetime again run, right?
Yeah, it was fine. I wasn't upset, but
that should have
No,
been
that was
before
before
the
the.
first
That was before.
Oh,
the
it was
match.
before it was in the first run. Okay. So they didn't do
Yeah.
anything in the second run. Yeah, I'll never forget them coming on the night after Raw the next night and being like, "I challenge you next year at Mania. You're on." It's like it was so psycho.
And
Yeah.
then they teamed up to beat up the Nexus. Like 2 seconds after they accepted the challenge for the WrestleMania main event, the Nexus came out and they teamed up to beat the shit out of them. That made no sense, but that's Vince McMahon for you.
Yeah, well, and safe to say, even John Cena was like constantly stomping the Nexus, and he kind of regrets that now, looking back on it, right? Doesn't he say, was she like Wade Barrett and them over a little bit more?
Yes.
Very interesting what a little perspective does. We'll see if we got any going in. But with that said, gents, are we ready to get into predictions?
Well, can I get my favorite Survivor
Oh,
Series?
my bad. Go ahead. Get in, Ernie.
I don't
Lay
think
it
Joe
on
got-
us. Lay it on us.
It's hilarious that the save Montreal screw job is so easy, but that I'll tell you what, Joe, and I think Joe can attest to this. We've discussed this that like in real time when it happened, it was like a popcorn fart. It was like, what the hell just happened? This is the lamest ending I've ever seen to a wrestling show ever. Like, because we had no idea we didn't know what happened, and we're just like, this is just stupid. Like, he clearly didn't lose the match. What is going on? They went off the air like as quick as they possibly could, and we're like, what the f just happened? That's not it. Slick brought up Survivor Series '94 when Bob Backlund beat Bret Hart to win the title. When Owen Hart faked being concerned for Bret, and Bret's mom threw the towel in for Bret, and it was a big ruse. And then Bob Backlund had one of the greatest post-championship promos ever during that card, and I'll put it out there for everybody. But it is one of my favorite promos ever, and Bob Backlund winning because he was a great heel, and I loved him, and that was probably my favorite Survivor Series moment.
I just want to bring up Survivor Series 87 for a second. The first one, the very first Survivor Series, Hulk Hogan getting counted out traumatized me as a kid because Hulk Hogan losing was not something you ever saw. So that traumatized me. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
You already know he was like, the only way I'm losing is if I'm getting counted out.
Yeah, that's not going to work for me, brother.
Yeah. Mackie, what about you?
So, going off of the Sting one, because I won't say that because Maniac already did. I'll go back to a moment where I was 3, didn't watch WWE at the time, but the 2001 Survivor Series winner-take-all match. Like, that's a classic, right?
Oh, I guess you could say it's a classic. I wouldn't use that word, but
I don't care. I still like. I'm probably the only one that liked the alliance, the WWF, WCW, that little angle there. I don't care. It was a good year for wrestling.
Well, it would have been fine had they had like the actual WCW guys and not like WWE guys on the WCW side. It just got the format itself, the winner take all format was great. The fact that they had like WWE guys fighting for WCW just got too convoluted at the end. The people in the
Booker
match,
T, and that was it. Was as far as WCW guys.
Yeah,
go.
if you want to talk about a retrospective, if they came in with Hogan, Flair, Sting, Nash, and Hall as like their survivor, like, but yeah, like let's say in a hypothetical world, yeah, you're having Goldberg face off against The Rock or Stone Cold, those 3 matchups. How much money could they have printed if they just kept kayfabe up and actually acted like WCW and made it WWF? We were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
Ernie, they could have printed, I mean, even in that time when wrestling was more over than like, you know, some of the craziest stuff nowadays. Like, I mean, how much money could they have printed kayfabing WCW for another year or 2?
Yes.
Yes.
What were those hypothetical matches you were throwing out?
Like Stone Cold Hogan, Stone Cold Goldberg, The Rock Goldberg, The Rock, like in
Michaels,
Michaels
Jericho or some shit.
Yes, Michaels Jericho, unbelievable.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Well, Michaels
DX versus the
Outsiders. Oh yeah, it would have been hilarious. It would have been great. You know what I'm saying? Like Kevin Nash versus the Big Show again. You know what I'm saying? They have an actual match, 2 giants. You know, just have
that's almost as good as Omos versus Big Bill.
What about Rey Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio? You could just do, you know, both sides. You could be playing for both brands. But yeah, no, obviously could have printed money and hopefully.
He got excited. This happens. No. Hopefully, I don't know what he was gonna say, but yeah, the WCW feud, if they kept that kayfabe going, would have printed money, no doubt. Shane McMahon on the infamous it says McMahon, but it's not Vince McMahon, it says Shane. Oh,
it would have been great if go ahead, Joe, you go first.
No, I was gonna say here's a little trivia for you guys. Tommy Dreamer, who like jumped to Raw with Rob Van Dam, right? You know, when that was all going down.
Yeah.
2 days prior to that, he held the last ECW show at the Lancaster Speedway in Buffalo.
What?
It was an ECW. It wasn't an official ECW show, but he had all the ECW guys on the show, and he booked it as an ECW show. That was the final ECW show, and Tommy Dreamer promoted that. And then 2 days later, he was on Monday Night Raw
at Lancaster Speedway.
At Lancaster Speedway, yeah.
What the fuck? That's so random, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It was random. Even like back then, we were like, "Why is it at Lancaster?"
Was it outside?
Yeah.
It was.
What the hell are you gonna host it there? They're indoors. It's got to be outside. Like
I know. I was thinking. I was like, I don't know, man. That's crazy.
Before we get into it, just speaking of CM Punk and Survivor Series,
I
don't know the trivia answer, but who was the guy that Shawn Michaels super kicked like 2 seconds into a Survivor Series elimination match and like acted like he didn't even know who he was?
Mike Knox.
It was Mike Knox. Okay. And they even did a thing where after he did it, he asked Triple H, like, who was that guy? Oh, he was in the match. Oh, okay.
that was a hilarious Survivor Series moment, because then like right after he did that whole spot where he ran under the ring and put his arm around Melina. That was funny.
Michaels outside of the ring was more in his bag than anything when he came back. He still obviously had the talent, but like I don't remember. Like I mean, I guess, and you.
I just super kicked Stan.
Yeah, Stan.
By the way, Slick, who Who was Stan? Select. Do you know who Stan was?
Oh, I did know this, but I if I saw his face,
The chairman. He's a perfect 10.
Oh, Sean Spears. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. Maybe they'll have a future feud a la Samoa Joe and MJF based off past WWE moments. But hey, we're talking about current WWE moments. Let's get into it. I'm not unplugged on the mic anymore. I can't keep making that mistake. I'll learn from my
You just get excited. It's okay.
I do get excited. We have some other panel chiming in, so I'll chime in with their guest picks along the way as well. But let's get into it, and we'll start with the first match here. Rhea Ripley versus Zoey Stark. So I know that you guys are going to write Zoey Stark off here quickly, okay? As we talked about in our pre-show that everyone is predicting Rhea Ripley to retain, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to say something first, and I'm going to be man enough to say it right now. Thank you, Trish, because you can't help but think that without the tutelage that Zoey Stark received this past summer and into the early fall, she wouldn't be getting this opportunity. So thank you to the legend, Trish Stratus, for coming back, paving the way for these opportunities and for future superstars. Very thankful to Trish for that, but ultimately Rhea retains. Slick, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I also want to say thank you, Trish, for the record, because I am man enough. And Zoey Stark should also say thank you, Trish. I don't know if I've heard her say it on a microphone. Maybe she should do that tonight. But mommy's always on top, and Rhea's coming out with championship tonight.
Okay. Well, hey, if we're all on the same page here, no need to really break it down too much. I will say maybe a good opportunity here for some tertiary storytelling. Maybe Rhea is distracted with all the other Judgment Day stuff going on. They can play up that storyline throughout the match if Zoey can give her a little run. But do we expect this match to be over 10 minutes?
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, then, hey, no reason to spend too much time on a match that's not going to spend too much time. Speaking of spending time, death, taxes, and The Miz putting over whoever the current Intercontinental Championship is or vying for it himself at that time. That feels like what it's been for The Miz for the last 5+ years. I'm thinking about Dolph Ziggler. I'm thinking about when he had his run with the IC title Raw 20 or the 25th anniversary of Raw when he did both venues. Thinking about, but again, I look at the promos here. I haven't seen every show live, I'll admit, for the Raws, especially for the Miz and Gunther segments. But from what I've seen, Miz doing what Miz does, some A+ mic work and some A+ storytelling, and Gunther holding his own, kind of calling out Miz in a way that I don't think he's really been called out before, in my opinion. Now, with that said, this is similar to Rhea Ripley, Zoey Stark. You kind of want to see Miz do it. I don't think we're going to see Miz do it. I'm going with Gunther in this match. It's like, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Gunther. I'm pissed that we have to watch this match. Honestly, I'm not a Miz guy. I don't know why he's in this spot. It makes no sense. The dude's like 3-50 in the last couple months, if I had to guess. And all of a sudden he's facing the Ring General. I mean, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see this match. Gunther retains. He's the best Intercontinental Champion ever. He's just going to continue to do his thing. This should be a squash, in my opinion. But the WWE loves The Miz. I mean, can you blame? Like, he is a great worker. All he's done for the company over all these years. I'm just not a fan. Get him the hell out of here. Gunther retains. I'm not concerned about this match.
I mean, Miz was in the right spot at the right time. He got his win at the Fatal 4-Way match with. I don't remember who. I cannot tell you who was in the rest of the match. But obviously, you're going to take the Ring General here. Gunther will retain.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you who was in that match either. I don't get why The Miz is face all of a sudden. I'm trying to figure out. Like, doesn't make any sense to me. Like, where did the face turn occur? Like, I don't know, but
I can tell you when it occurred. It occurred when Miz sent Brock Lesnar to Disney World, and he inherited Brock's ability to be a face or a heel at any time.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And then, Gunther will probably. I don't think it's going to be a squash, but it's probably going to be a one-sided match.
I'll tell you one thing. The thing I like about Gunther is like old school, not even Vader, but Big Van Vader, is that he's a quote unquote heel, but he never cheats. He's just a guy who's better than everybody. Like he never cheats to win a match. Like Imperium never helps him. He just beats everybody. And that's why I like him so much. And that's all I have to say, because there's no chance Miz wins. No chance in hell.
There is literally no
No
chance
chance.
at all. And yeah, and I got to say this because I know a lot of people say the head of the table theme is the final boss. Gunther's theme, the Imperium theme in SummerSlam, was absolutely slapping. That was the first time I had my eyes open. I knew the head of the table theme was obviously final boss, but Imperium gives it a run for its money for sure when Gunther and the boys are coming out. Now, I don't know if this next one's changed, guys. By the way, we're all obviously all of our guest panel as well is on Gunther and Rhea as we try along. Is this still Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar at this point?
Yes.
Okay, and Dragon Lee was the one subbed in here at the last moment, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so it's hard to get too excited about this match because plain and simple, this wasn't what they wanted. They weren't teasing that, the opponent was going to switch or anything like a storyline like that. It only happened this week due to a shuffling, obviously, how things happen behind the scenes there. With that said, I am just going to go with Santos Escobar, the guy who was supposed to be in the match the whole time. I'm just going with logic there. It seems like a Vince thing to throw someone in the match at the last second and have them win. I'm going to go with Triple H and his logic as Santos Escobar. Ernie, why don't you key us off and we'll go around the horn.
I want to get back to what you're saying about music that slaps before I go into.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think the song that sounds the best in person that you never think of is Io Sky. Her song, when you hear all the bass of like an actual sound system in the arena, is freaking incredible. It was like that at the SummerSlam and at the SmackDown I went to. But
her running down the SummerSlam ramp, which was kind of like a zigzag jag, was absolutely cinematic with the Money in the Bank at the SummerSlam.
And then when she gave Bayley the briefcase to hit Charlotte with, that was great too. But the only reason I'm talking about that is I don't have much to say about this match. It's gonna be a great match in my opinion. Like Dragon Lee's awesome, Santos Escobar, if they let him cook, it's gonna be awesome. It could be match tonight, but I don't see a scenario where Santos loses.
And truthfully, sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's not like it's not like AJ Styles was subbed into this match or somebody with a ton of TV time that we've had storylines about. Dragon Lee, it's kind of a little bit random. So no, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like they took Carlito out and they threw in Dragon Lee, and WWE kind of has a history of making masked guys shitty, and that's what they're gonna do with this match. And I don't think. Not only do I think like it'll be a good match, and Dragon Lee's a great worker, I just don't think Dragon Lee's going to do anything in WWE even after this match. Like they just don't know what to do with guys in masks. So yeah, Santos is going to win.
Even if it was Carlito was supposed to be in the spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think even if Carlito was still in the spot, I think it would be Santos Escobar only because this is not going to be the last match between Santos Escobar and LWO. I think it's Santos Escobar winning this match.
Yeah, I know nothing about the situation behind this match, but, so I'm gonna go Santos because everyone else is.
Yeah, you were. I wasn't much better off. I still had to confirm when I was bringing it up that this was the match. But speaking of not knowing a match, let's get into the one. Chekhov's Shinsuke right now. There's been all over the board. I've seen Okada. I've seen CM Punk. I've seen all kinds. Hey, Triple H missed on Switchblade and Ospreay. He has to get somebody.
Is he officially having a match, or are we just addressing?
I think we're speculating that he's going to come out and face someone at the SummerSlam, or sorry, the Survivor Series. Correct?
Wow. Okay, here we go.
I mean, if not, what is this build towards?
That's a great question, and I hope I
think he's gonna come out with like a translator, or he'll have like 5 to 6 English lines ready to go. He'll say something.
He'll say something about the best in the world.
Hold on. Well, let me check something. Am I the only one in here that thinks this is what's gonna happen? Everyone thinks Shinsuke is gonna have some kind of segment tonight, right?
No, I don't think it's gonna happen at all tonight.
I don't know. I really don't. I'm doubtful, actually.
Ernie, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking something's going to happen with Shinsuke tonight. It might be just a video package, the continuing what he's talking about. But if he comes out, I put CM Punk at plus 600 for showing up tonight, and I'm putting him having an actual match at about plus 400. So I'm not predicting either happening.
Wait, hold on. Wait, time out. Ernie. You're saying on top of the return.
Oh,
like with him returning, in addition to that, he's 4-1 to even have a match, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So if you were parlaying CM Punk to have a match tonight, you're saying it's like closer to like 30-1 basically.
Yes, against Shinsuke.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because you said to return he was 6-1 and to have a match he was 4-1.
I'm saying the chances of Shinsuke Nakamura having a match tonight is 4-1, and then I'm saying if he has a match, the chances that it's CM Punk is 6-1. That's what I'm saying. So it's a two bet parlay.
And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't follow those numbers, it spells disaster for him at Sacrifice. But yeah, okay, so this panel's 50-50 on a Shinsuke segment tonight then. McDonagh, what about you? You're the resident pro.
Define pro in this scenario.
You're pro WWE. So let's go.
I don't know and they keep putting vignettes and stuff on the socials, but like, is that for tonight? Is that for Raw?
He's been doing this for 6 weeks. The last time I had a build this big, The Undertaker came back at Judgment Day. 2000. But yeah, all right. Well, okay, I think Shinsuke's gonna have something tonight in the ring. That's what I'm calling right now.
Can I say I'm leaning no, but if he does, it's CM Punk. Like, hands down. I think that and I really hope Shinsuke does have a spot here. I think that's why they're not telling us anything about this Shinsuke build. They're just leaving it open-ended. Because if it happens, then the crowd's going to get really fired up. They're going to be like, all right, here we go. Like, this is and you can't just have like Omos come out.
I would love that. I would love it. If
Shinsuke does get to the ring after all this in Chicago at Survivor Series, and he's just like, come out wherever you are. Bro, we got to hear Cult of Personality. I mean, like, it's got to happen. But right now, I'm leaning that Shinsuke doesn't do anything on the show.
Yeah.
What if it was Nicholas and he's like, I'm off of school this week. Let's go, Shinsuke.
That would be incredible. I just graduated to high school.
I'd be like, bro, go hang out with Nick Wayne. Take some tips from him first.
Oh, come on.
He'd be in like 9th grade because it wasn't even 4th grade when he won the titles. It was 5 years ago.
I don't fucking know, dude.
No, he's a freshman now.
The math is mathing.
Who cares?
I just want to jump in and say I think it's going to happen on Raw, and he's calling out Cody Rhodes. That's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be very anticlimactic.
Bottom of the 4th now.
Yeah, but seriously, we're back to the top of the 3rd if that happens.
Yeah.
All right, but speaking of a matchup here, we're getting into our 2 final main events. By the way, real quick, does anyone think they might like put one of these WarGames matches earlier in the show? I know the double ring makes it a little tougher, different. Maybe they want to put one early and one later.
I think we're going to open. I think we're going to open and close with WarGames.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I was thinking maybe women's to open, and then you get a little middle ground, and then obviously men's to end with all the storylines going on there. But you got Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. Obviously, I think the big, if it's not the first storyline in this match, the second storyline is the potential friction developing between Damage Control with Kairi, Zayn, Io Sky, Asuka, and Bayley there as well. Ernie, why don't you start us off here, and I will finish this up. What do you got winning this women's WarGames match?
I think they're going to fall apart relatively quickly, but I think Damage Control wins somehow by hook or by crook. I can see it where Bayley almost cost them the match, but she doesn't, and then all the rest of Damage Control takes control of the situation and wins the match. I mean, I kind of feel like Shotzi's in there for a reason and has to take a pin. To be honest with you, she's like the one. If you're going to say like who's most likely to take a pin in this match, it's probably Shotzi. So I think she's going to take a pin. I think Bayley is going to almost cost them the match, but not cost them the match, and she's going to get a beat down at the end.
That's a great point. Out of anyone in this match that can take a pin, Shotzi is definitely the lowest odds or the best odds for sure. Sweatpants Joe, what do we got?
Yeah, I think Damage Control wins. I don't really particularly like what's going on with Damage Control. I think it's becoming it's kind of like NWO when it got like too big. It's like keep it small. I don't like Asuka joining it. It's just but yeah, I think they win. I like your point about Shotzi taking the pin, but I don't know. I think Bianca or Becky is going to take the pin. I think there's going to be something happens and one of them takes the pin, just to put them over. So yeah.
McAdoo.
How dare you put Io Sky third on her own team when she's the champion, man? That's messed up. But
that was the Survivor Series WarGames Wikipedia page, by the way.
I gotta go yell at some nerd now too. Then, so part of me wants to say Bianca, the team Bianca, but I don't know because I don't know how long Bayley's going to last in damage control right now. That being said, I'm taking damage control because I don't know where this is leading.
Even though there is 3 huge faces, I mean, if you want to include Charlotte as a face on this team, like very dominant women in the women's division of WWE under a Triple H regime, a faction like Damage Control should not lose this match. And that's why I'm going to pick them to win, especially with Kairi Sane just coming back in to the equation. I don't know so much about the friction, but they're going to win this match one way or the other.
It's taken me, 20 years as a wrestling fan or whatever, but I'm finally realizing that more important than winning titles in a wrestling business is the ability to put someone over. And I think that this team of Bianca, Belair, Charlotte, and Becky, with Shotzi there, obviously, needs to put over Damage Control and kind of solidify their spot as an NWO of WWE, a dominant faction for sure. But I also was thinking in the timeline, Damage Control is really one of the first things that Triple H did at the helm, right? Because didn't they debut at SummerSlam last year? Yeah. And that was kind of the beginning of the Triple H timeline there. So yeah, I think there's a special spot for them and the Judgment Day for sure. And I think we see Damage Control, maybe not a convincing win, but definitely some kind of win that plays into the hijinks maybe of their splitting as well, and kind of carries on that storyline a little bit. But I think are we a clean sweep on Damage Control?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, wow. All right, well, let's get into it. It's main event time. Men's WarGames match, likely to be the main event. Sure, they could always pull a swerve Strickland and get the women's in there as well. Men's WarGames match, Team Cody, Seth, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and the Viper, Randy Orton, making his in-ring return, after a year?
More than that.
Yeah, a little more, yeah.
18 months.
So this is the longest we've been without Randy Orton since he debuted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, versus the Judgment Day, like arguably the hottest faction in the world of wrestling right now. Damian Priest, Finn Bálor, Dominik Mysterio, and JD McDonagh with Drew McIntyre as the kind of, could he be the Kurt Angle Stone Cold of this invasion angle, potentially. But I will kick this off. I think that after every other match kind of going heel way / not a lot of positive, we get a big time hijinks match. Drew McIntyre, whether he turns on Judgment Day or not or whatever, some kind of hijinks there. Ultimately, Team Cody gets the win. Slick, what do you got?
Yeah, it's tough because like Judgment Day, it's tough to give them an L, but like a WarGames match is the perfect to do it. Anything can happen. These matches are just so chaotic. But I just don't see bringing Randy back as this 5th member, especially with your biggest face in the company like Cody on the same team. Not to mention Seth freaking Rollins, Jey Uso, who's got the crowd bumping. I don't see them losing this match. I think they come away with the W, and I think it might be because of Drew McIntyre, like potentially causing some friction in the Judgment Day. He just came in. I was going to ask you guys, my prediction is Team Cody, but what do you think the odds are that Rhea gets in the cages for this match at all with the dudes?
Plus 400.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious. And
it wouldn't be crazy at all.
And just starts body slamming everyone. Like, that'd be awesome. But I think there's going to be like miscommunication due to Drew McIntyre just coming into the picture. And that's ultimately going to be the downfall. And Team Randy, probably an RKO and a pin for the win.
So I have to agree. I think JD McDouchebag is going to go take the ball here. We have to continue. We have to continue the nickname here. Come on now. What would this be? But and I think after the match, you're going to see Randy Orton RKO Jey Uso, because there was something there Monday when Jey Uso was looking over like. So.
Yeah, good guys win. Randy Orton's going to get the loudest pop. He'll probably be the last guy in the fight. And he'll probably RKO JD McDouchebag for the win. Yeah, it is what it is. Like you guys were saying, it's a WarGames match, so anything goes, and Judgment Day won't look weak when they lose to them. So yeah, I think the good guys win.
I agree that the good guys win. I don't think that Rhea will get into the cage, but I think she will interfere in the match. And, she right now, it seems like she's more partial to Drew than she is the rest of Judgment Day. And I think that's where the friction kind of hits, where like she's more aligned with Drew than she is the rest of Judgment Day. And that's where the miscommunication happens, and boom, RKO out of nowhere. And I do think that someone's going to get RKO'd after the match on the good guys team, whether it's Jay or even Cody Rhodes. Because here's the thing. People are rightfully mad at Cody Rhodes because he brought Jey Uso when he wants them to be their friend. That is exactly why Drew is on the opposite side, because everything that he's talking about, why he's upset, all his grievances are like legitimate, like logical grievances. And I can also see Randy Orton be logically upset at Cody Rhodes for bringing Jey Uso in when him and Cody Rhodes have a ton of back history. The Usos are the reason he was out of action for 18 months if we're talking kayfabe. So Cody Rhodes needs something to do between now and Royal Rumble and probably close to Mania. So why not a feud with Orton?
Yeah, it already writes itself. I leave for a year. You be a leader, and you bring like all this. Of course,
top of 4.
No, bottom 3 at this point, clearly. But with that said, so everybody, am I correct? Everyone was on Team Cody on the show here.
Yeah.
Okay. The only person, we literally agreed on every single pick. It was a sweep across the board, except Micah has Judgment Day winning this match. So that Micah blood runs thick when it comes to those upsets. But hey, folks, thank you for tuning along. Survivor Series is tonight. I guess they're going to set a record with attendance. I was just looking, 18,000 right about they're going to have in the house there at Allstate Arena?
More than Mania when they had it there, apparently.
Okay, well, very bottom line. This speaks for itself. So, check that out on the Penis streaming app. But hey, this is Trainwreck Sports. Make sure you're following everybody. Ernie Green, Sweatpants Joe, ZT McAdoo, Slick L Saturday for all those picks and all those bouts, and of course myself, because this is not the show where we wrestle with our conscience. This is not the show where we wrestle with our budget. This is the show where we wrestle with emotion.
Scissor me, Ernie.